right? So I really encourage you. I cannot tell you how many times that I'm talking with other analytics people or developers or anybody in a variety of different size of organizations, and they get excited with talking about how much they're tracking. This is not a point of excitement. This should not be a point of excitement. Ideally, right? Like, okay, so a lot of you guys are developers, which means you're managing, efficiency and accuracy and load times and all of that. And I suppose there's a bit of fun in figuring out how to do big things in with really good speed and all of that. I get that. There's that fun. But in the end, if you could gain $1 billion in revenue with 3 pieces of data, that's kind of what you need to do, right? Now that's not a realistic scenario. But it is the case that we're sort of, we're pushing towards this notion of needing to track everything because, why? Because one, it sounds cool, but also what that really speaks to is that the initial process around developing the product or feature or platform or whatever actually didn't have a very specific set of metrics that were being used to measure it, right? Because if you know what metrics you're using to measure the success of your product or your new feature or whatever, then you know exactly what data points you need to answer that question. About 80% of it, right? There'll be 20% that you say, oh shoot, we should have been tracking that. You can always add that in post-launch. But there's another problem that's sort of generated with all of this data being tracked. It's not just a technical problem around just events or calls to the database or anything. How the heck do you report on any of this stuff? How do you analyze on any of it, right? And that kind of leads to the conversation around tools. So when you think about collecting and reporting data, there's a ton of tools. And I can speak about the pros and cons of any of these things. I know most of them.